During the Swedish emigration to the United States, approximately 1.3 million Swedes left Sweden. Following the lead of many of their Swedish countrymen in the late 19th century, Hans Andersen came to America for a better life in 1886, followed by his wife Ingrid and 4 children, Joseph, Axel, Marie, and Ida, in 1887. Hans was an accomplished stonemason who could not read or write, yet this family was part of the new migration from the Scandinavian countries that brought different cultures, languages, and religions to the Woburn landscape. Axel was 18 years old when he arrived with his mother and father and was just starting out in life, working different jobs like many immigrants in the tanneries and as a house painter. Axel soon married his wife Hilda, also a Swedish immigrant, and built a house at 71 Middle Street in 1890. They would raise 6 children in that home, currently occupied with their granddaughter, Roberta Lindquist, and her husband Edwin. In 1903, Axel Andersen purchased additional land on Middle Street and established a home farm as a florist, and soon embarked on a career raising flowers with his wife Hilda. Hilda became the driving force, and because of her success, they decided to expand the operation. Occupying 1.5 acres on Middle Street, 5 greenhouses were erected, and by 1913, they opened Andersen's Flower Shop at 14 Montvale Avenue. While growing flowers was the family business, their daughter Ruth was not interested in working in the family flower shop. She was a hairdresser by profession, and following in her mother's footsteps, was also an expert seamstress. While the establishment of flower conservatories in Woburn is well documented, the lesser-known industry of leather glove making arrived on the scene at the turn of the 20th century. The Bay State Glove Company operated a factory and showroom in the Tanner's Bank building. The McDonald and Wilker Company soon followed by locating in the Knight building. Both companies prided themselves on skilled labor and were early pioneers in employing women. Seeing the rapid growth of this industry in Woburn, she opened the Mishawan Leather Goods Company at her family's home at 71 Middle Street, originally selling leather billfolds, keychains, tobacco pouches, and gift sets. Ruth soon started making quality handcrafted gloves and purses for ladies, and other fine leather goods such as baseball gloves for the growing demand in the sporting world. Because of her talents, she secured a contract with Everlast and decided to open the Ruth L. Andersen Sporting Goods Company located at 17 Campbell Street in 1920. But one heavyweight occasion drew worldwide attention. Ruth Andersen would enter the world of professional boxing. Interest in boxing was at its peak during the 1920s. Boxers such as Jess Willard and Georges Carpentier were known throughout the world. But there were no better attractions, however, than Jack Dempsey and Gene Tunney. Jack Dempsey, the Manassas Mauler, as he was known, became the heavyweight champion after defeating Jess Willard in 1919. A ring warrior, he defended his title 6 times in 7 years. While most fights were fought on smaller venues, George Tex Rickard was the first promoter to turn boxing into big business. And Dempsey's title defense against Gene Tunney, the Fighting Marine, was to become the biggest gate of that period. The first match between these great pugilists was held on September 23, 1926, at Sesquicentennial Municipal Stadium in Philadelphia, and drew over 120,000 fans from across the country and radio fans from around the world. It was a blockbuster. It drew the largest paid attendance for a boxing event. That sensational record lasted for 67 years. Dempsey was a huge favorite to retain the title, but in a remarkable upset, Tunney defeated him by unanimous decision. One young woman in Woburn was listening intently to this fight on her radio. She was focusing, however, not on how the fight was progressing, but on how the gloves were withstanding the wear and tear from the giant arms of Dempsey and every sledgehammer drive of Tunney on the stitches that she had painstakingly sewn. The boxing gloves for this match for both fighters had been created by the nimble and experienced hands of Miss Ruth Anderson of the R.L. Anderson Sporting Goods Company of Woburn, Massachusetts. The many Woburn fans listening to the fight that night probably had no idea that the gloves were made and shipped from the plant on Campbell Street and made by one of Woburn's own. A young woman who had never seen a fight confidently made the gloves to detailed specifications of their hands and each finger. The gloves were 6 ounce, made from selected California Napa sheepskin. She even had special instructions that the hair padding at the knuckles be contained in a special cheesecloth sack so that the padding would not pull away. She made them under contract to the Everlast Sporting Goods Company, suppliers of boxing equipment worldwide. The gloves for both fighters were delivered to Tex Rickard, the fight promoter. Everlast supplied agents for all the professional fight clubs in the country at this time. Miss Anderson had made many boxing gloves for these fighters in the past and had made over 30 pairs of gloves used by Dempsey in his training for this particular fight. In the past, she had made similar boxing gloves for Gene Tunney, who gifted them to Mayor Jimmy Walker of New York in appreciation of the mayor's efforts on behalf of boxing in New York. Miss Anderson was instructed to inscribe the gloves in gold letters that read, "To our next mayor, Jimmy Walker, who elevated and made boxing possible. Gratefully, Gene Tunney." President Calvin Coolidge, a boxing aficionado, was also gifted a pair of Anderson-made gloves by Mickey Walker, welterweight champion in 1924. Boxing gloves were also coveted and prized on an international level. England's Prince of Wales and future King, Edward VIII, was a well-known bon vivant, accomplished horseman, and adept boxer. He was given a gift of boxing gloves made by Ruth by his trainer, George Mason, who had gloves made to specifications fit for a king.